So we got a problem. Look at this video.
Bank for international
It's chaotic, confusing, you can't understand shit. And the worst part, I made it 3 years ago. Back then I thought visuals were all about making the video more engaging. So I randomly added in the video whatever atrocity I could come up with.
Bulls will be betting big on...
There's a huge arbitrage and you can trade that arbitrage.
After previous things, you probably like 60% it doesn't happen.
This nigga is trash.
You're just ruining it. Look at my lips, you're ruining it.
Now look at this video that I made 1 month ago. So what changed? 3 years of grinding, watching tons of tutorials, studying what edits work. It wasn't a fun process, but it worked. And in this video I'm gonna show you everything I've learned in these 3 years. This is my visual masterclass. Everything you learn in this video will actually take a lot of time to apply. Making good edits is never quick, it's always a process. That's why first I want to show you how to free up more time for yourself. So you can start to include all of these things in your edits without your clients shitting on you because you're not meeting deadlines. So before you get into the process of creating, I always recommend to prepare your edit. Try to think of your big plan for the video. Do you want it to be fun with lots of animations? Or you want to use fewer animations but make those much cleaner? This will help you to know how much time you have to spend on each animation. And maybe the number one thing that helped me save a bunch of time is actually finding good assets. So you don't have to search on YouTube through some shitty transitions, overlays, and backgrounds that always have a watermark on them. Like no Adobe stock, I'm not gonna spend $64 just to download this background. So that's why I spend a bunch of time searching and creating the best backgrounds, transitions, overlays, even creating fully customizable presets so I can quickly just drag and drop them. Basically, I made a preset for everything I know I will use multiple times in my edits. So I made it available for you too, and I've linked the entire pack with everything I mentioned down in the description if you want to get it now. But now that you have time on your hands, let's go on to step number 2. When I first started editing, I jumped straight into After Effects. No plan, no idea, just throwing random stuff in there, and after hours of work, the result was always the same. Comments just like this. That's when I realized the idea is everything. And no, I didn't actually come up with this, I actually heard it from Mr. Beast.
The idea is so freaking important. Like, you could, theoretically, most YouTubers watching this, you could pull triple the views with half the work if you just had better ideas. Like, no joke, it's that extreme.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT!
And the same thing applies when it comes to visuals. You need to think of what you want your visual to represent. Then try to come up with a few ideas in your head of what the visual could look like. A thing that helps me for some scenes is to literally draw the scene with very simple elements. But my drawing skills are horrible.
Is that? Oh shit, what is that?
So what I do instead, I just try to picture it inside my own head. I don't know why, but for me this works really well. I don't necessarily recommend this for every one of you, so what you could do is just open up After Effects or Premiere and start making a simpler version of the animation, just to test if the idea is good to start with. Now you might be saying, okay, now my visual makes it easier for people to understand what's in the video, but now it doesn't look good. Don't worry, because up next we are gonna deep dive into composition, colors, principles you need to know for banger visuals and how to create a style that's consistent the entire video. The composition is the first piece of the puzzle to making visuals that look good and feel professional. But you might have watched some tutorials on composition and was like, this is useless, I don't need to know all of this. That was me after watching a half-an-hour video showing me what the Fibonacci spiral is.
Got the rules, which, you know, the Fibonacci spiral is a great rule if you haven't seen that.
I'ma ask you again. Did you eat a tree for right?
Like, that might be good when making films, but for editing YouTube and short form videos, so let's actually go through the things that will make a difference for you. First, all your points should have the center of focus somewhere in the middle of the screen. Why? Because for most videos, the subject's face is in the center and it's what you're gonna need about 90% of the time. That's why I believe it's super good to create a habit out of this. Now let me show you two visuals. One uses the principle and the other one doesn't. Have you ever watched someone else's edit and thought, this is the most amazing video I've ever watched? Have you ever watched someone else's edit and thought, this is the most amazing video I've ever watched? And the one using this principle feels much more professional professional and much easier to watch. Now, number 2, keep your composition balanced. I'm not saying that all your visuals should be centered, but the elements must be spread out equally. So for example, if I have this big element on the right, then the left as well should have one big element as well, or like 2-3 smaller elements. You should just have to keep this in mind when creating visuals and keep adjusting the spacing, scale and position of the element until it looks right. Now, use negative space in your advantage. How? Look at these designs from luxury brands. Now look at these designs from ads that are targeted towards kids. As you can see, if you want your designs to feel more professional, you need to choose a more minimalistic approach to your designs. But if you want to make your designs more fun, add more elements to it, just don't go overboard with it. Make sure it's still easily readable from far away. Try scaling your design down to like 50%, and if it's still readable, you're good. Now here's a bonus tip if you want your visuals to have more depth. Add elements further and closer to the imaginary camera. You can do this just by making the elements larger or smaller compared to the center main element of the screen. Or let's look at this shot from Interstellar. You can see how the elements closer to the camera get blurred, and the ones farther away get more and more blurred. Let me show you how you can apply this to your visuals. So we have these main facts in the center. Now, using my customizable background preset, I made it so you can add depth in just one click. So you can see these blurred out elements get added in there to create that sense of depth. Now this scene looks way more professional and a lot more out of reality. Now we should add some colors to our visuals. This is a very important step, so let's look at these two designs. The only thing that's changed between both of them is the colors. And the difference is insane. I mean, this one just looks like shit. For this video, I studied the best designs from YouTube and movies. And here's what I discovered about colors when it comes to visuals. First, use complementary colors to make something stand out. To do this in practice, just choose colors on the opposite of the spectrum, or you can make one color darker to contrast with the bright text. For backgrounds, you want to nicely blend in and look good with whatever visual you have on screen. So try to choose monochromatic tones. Here's how I make these simple text visuals by implementing these two color tips. First, I add one of these backgrounds which already use monochromatic tones. They're always quite dark, so when I add the text, it instantly stands out. Then, for this example, I make the text yellow because blue and yellow are both contrasting colors. The next thing is that you can use colors to create depth. So you know I mentioned that you need to blur the objects closer and farther away from the camera. You can do this with colors too, by making them brighter or darker depending on where your focus point is. And if your composition feels unbalanced, you can also rebalance it through the colors. Let's say I have this red background with this big gray circle on the right and the smaller circle on the left. So if I would want to balance it, I could make the small circle on the left white. This way the composition is much better. Now let's answer the next question. How do you use colors to set a tone for the video? Use darker, more desaturated tones if you want your video to have a more serious vibe. And use brighter, more vibrant elements if you want your video to be more fun and less serious. Also, look at this diagram explaining the purpose and feelings associated with each color. You don't need to pay that much attention to that, but always remember, if you want to use colors to create a feeling, you might need to look into that. And I will also explain how to use colors and style to create a brand in the chapter 5. But first, we'll quickly run through the other 7 principles you need to know to make things look good. We're gonna have this simple animation on screen. Right now it looks pretty bad, but we're gonna fix it using all of these principles. First, use ease in and ease out. To do that, just go into the graph editor and bring the handles like this. Number 2, use motion blur. If you are in After Effects, just press this button for each layer to activate it. But if you want to make it more intense or less intense, go into the composition settings and change the value from somewhere between 80 and 360. Now, if you are in Premiere, always use the transform when you want to move stuff around. And to turn on motion blur, just turn on the shutter angle and set the value again between 80 and 360 depending on how much motion blur you want. All of my text animations use motion blur and easing in and easing out. There's a lot more stuff involved into what makes them look so good, but as you can see, it already looks good with just the transform effect already. Lead the eye. You can move elements around to help the viewer focus on a specific point, similar to how these elements move towards the center of the screen. Number 4, don't spam visuals. Only add them when they're actually needed. Texture makes things look more polished and professional. This is why in my backgrounds I always add some type of noise, glow, or some kind of texture to create imperfections. Now, parallax. This happens with real cameras when stuff in front appears to move much faster than the one in the back. Here's how you can do this too in After Effects. Start by enabling the 3D camera, make the background layer 3D and increase its Z position. And now move around only using the position of the camera. And that's it. Now you can see the background moves slower than the stuff in front of it. And that's it. This is the before and after, so you can see the difference these principles make. Okay, now you know how to create visuals that have a purpose and look amazing. But you want to stand out because it seems like everybody is doing the same thing. The first step you need to do is to start to think about how you want your videos to look and feel on a consistent basis. Do you want your videos to feel more fun or more serious? Maybe you want to use black and white colors for your visuals to create a more old school feeling to them. And on my previous video I saw this comment, what if I love all the styles? That's totally fine. You don't have to lock yourself into one style. You just have to have your core identity in the back of your mind and not forget to leave room for you to experiment. For example, I decided that the core identity for my videos could be this pixel art animation, but I'm always allowing myself and trying new things. Like for example, playing around in Blender. So I'm keeping the thing that sets me apart, but I'm leaving room for growth and experimentation. And that's basically everything I've learned about visuals until now. If you feel there's a thing that's important that I didn't cover in the video, write a comment below so we all can learn from each other and become better. And don't forget, if you want to speed up your workflow or want to learn how I do these pixel animations inside my own videos, check out the link in the description below. I hope this video helped you and I will see you on the next one. Peace.